Hi guys, today I want to talk to you about hand diggers. I'm going to give you a little review on 3 diggers that I've been using. These are 3 diggers that are on the market that are quite popular. I've used all 3 of these. I want to talk about them a little bit more, give you my personal opinion on them. And again, I'm not sponsored by anyone. There's no favoritism here. This is just based on my personal experience. Okay, so the first one I want to talk about is the Lesche digger. I've had this for a long time. It's probably the one that I've used the most. If you notice, the blade has the serrations on one side. The other side is just the blade with no serration. It's got a really nice back piece here, so your hand doesn't slip, and it's got sort of a short sort of plastic handle. Looks a lot like sort of a bicycle grip handle, but still a very good digger. Next, I want to talk about the Garrett hand digger. So this one is, I find it seems to be a little heavier than the other ones. The blade seems to be made out of a thicker steel. It's not as sharp as the other ones. It's a little harder to push through the ground, I find. Maybe if it was sharpened, it would be better. Also, it's got the serrations it's got the serrations on one side here, and then you have some on one side at the top. But they don't really grab onto the roots, I find. You're kind of like tickling the roots with these. I don't know. Not my favorite digger though, but still a good digger. The next one is the one that I choose, that I use all the time. It's become my favorite hand digger, and I'll show you why. This digger has serrations on both sides of the blade. It's very pointy, very sharp, and the serrations are actually fairly deep and spaced, which really you can feel it when you pass your finger. It catches, like my skin is hooking onto this blade, compared to, let's say, this guy, where it doesn't really do anything, or this. So you can really feel this digger really hooking on there. What I like also, it's got an oversized back piece here, which is much bigger. If you look at the difference between the whites here and the Lesche, the size is very different. Same thing with this one. It's much larger. I can actually use this to help pry into the hole with it. And the handle is my favorite part. It's got a very nice, large, comfortable gripped handle. It's kind of like a hard rubber texture to it, instead of a plastic, like a shiny plastic. It's got a much larger back piece here for your palm, so if you need to push down on harder ground, compared to, let's say, this, that's a huge difference on the palm after a while. This one's very similar to the Lesche, the Garrett here. So there's a huge difference that way, and also in the length of the handle. Now the blades are all similar lengths. We're talking like maybe an 1/8 to a 1/4 inch difference on all 3 of these. The length of the handle is probably one of the biggest differences too. So you're almost an extra inch there on the length of it. So for me personally, this is the one that I choose. I have the choice when I leave to go metal detecting. I pick this one, and it's very comfortable, and you can easily pop full plugs with this. It's not hard. Oh yeah, and also the Whites digger has measurements on the blade, increments here in inches and centimeters, so you can tell exactly the depth of your target once you pop it out. Okay. Also, I have some T-handled diggers that I use. I've also used all 3 of these, so I may as well give you a little bit of a review of my personal opinion on these. So look at the first one here. Let's take this guy. This is the Piranha, made by Predator Tools. We've had this digger for 6, 6 years or so. It used to be blue. There's absolutely no more paint left on this, maybe in the corners here. This is probably my favorite digger of them all. It's just very, very strong and lightweight. It's got really good serrated edges. Actually, they remind me a lot, give me a second here. They remind me a lot of the serrations on the Whites hand digger. You can see the distance and the angle, the aggressive angle on those teeth, and the distances and depth of them are very similar. And I like the length of the blade too, and it's very, very strong. My favorite. I've pried trees that were rotting on the ground with this digger. I've hacked branches off of dead trees falling on the ground to get in there and swing. And yeah, the handle is still straight, it's still sturdy, nothing's even come remotely close to letting go on these welds. It's extremely solid design. I strongly recommend this, the Piranha by Predator Tools. It comes in different lengths of handles too. You can get the shorter ones, the longer ones. This is the one that I prefer. Another one I've tried out and used is the Whites Groundhog. It's a much smaller blade. Again, it's got some decent serrations on it. It's not very long. It's exactly the same length, I believe, as the hand diggers are. If you put the blades side by side, whether it be the White's hand digger, you can see the length of that blade, or if I grab the Lesche, it's very, very comparable. Lengths of the blade for a T-handle shovel, it's a little shorter. I'm not sure how it would do if I jammed this into roots and rocks and pried with this, how long it would last. The other thing, it's not very pointy. I mean, the angle could be a little larger than that to get into the ground for penetration. If you compare with the penetration of the Predator versus the Whites, look how wide that blade is compared, and it's kind of like not as tapered as the Predator. So that makes a difference when you're penetrating the soil. Yeah, and there's already a slight bend in the shaft. I don't know if you guys can see that right here. It did bend, and you can see where the paint chipped off here, where the bend is. So, but we're still beating it up. We'll find out in the future. Well, here is the digger that I use. This one is made by Wiskey Walker Tools. They're not making them anymore, but I've used this one for 2 seasons now. It did actually bend on me right here. You can see the bend right there and where the paint came off. And but I honestly pushed this shovel to the max. I was really stuck between some roots. The blade didn't move at all, and I put all my weight and leaned into it and bent it. But I mean, for regular use, for digging, it's fine. And I like this because of the length of the blade, actually. It's got the big serrations again on both sides. It's very sharp, a nice point on it for penetration. But the length of the blade is pretty incredible. So the length of the blade here, you can see compared to the Piranha, it's a very similar design, longer, bigger blade. I like to make big plugs, so that works for me. I'm still using this one this year, but she's not making them anymore, but they will be making some sand scoops. She's working right now. She's not collaborating with the same fabricator anymore. She's actually kind of pushing now towards this sand scoop design that she's working on with a new fabricator. So hopefully in the near future we'll hear more, and we'll definitely put her new sand scoops up for you to look at. Okay, as a conclusion, from the ones that I've used and the experience that I have with them, my go-to for my small digger is the Whites digger, and for the T-handle shovel is the Piranha by Predator Tools. Those are the two that I choose when I go out there. Unless Lori's using the Predator, then I default to my own. Okay, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please like, and don't feel free to comment below if you have any comments to say or anything you'd like to add to the video. If you have experience with some of those diggers, or you have any, I know there's tons of companies that are making diggers out there, so if there's anything you'd like to add to it, feel free. We'd love to get your feedback on this. Thanks for watching.